Hari Om. Dear girls, in this video we are going to discuss how a student database can be connected to a .NET desktop application. We have already discussed how a desktop application can be created, how the application can be connected to a MySQL database. In today's application, we'll be seeing how multiple forms can be created and how the database can be manipulated, how we can access the data from the database. So what we are going to do here, we are going to create 3 different forms. The first form will be of a home screen, and the second form will have a insertion form. Let me call it as an insertion form so that you can insert a record to a student table. Then the third form will be a display all form, and the fourth form will be for searching or updating a record in the student table. So there will be home screen, there will be an insertion form, there will be a display form, and there will also be a search and update form. So before we move on to creation of .NET application, let me open the MySQL command line client app. This is the app which will be used for the MySQL queries. I'm going to have MySQL 8.0 command line client app. I click on this. It opens a client command line. Let me enter the password. Root password I'm entering here. I entered the password and I reach to the MySQL prompt. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the test database. I'm going to use the test database, and the database has been changed because when you log in initially, the database will be the MySQL database. I don't want to disturb the MySQL database. So what I have done, I have created a test database, and for the test database I have created a user and password also. So I just change to the test database. Then I can use the show tables command, which will show you what are the different tables available in this particular database. So I have sample table and I have another table called a student database. And let us see what are the records available in the student DB table. So I have 2 records here: student name, roll number, and 3 different marks, total and percentage. I have not yet calculated the total and percentage. Let us see how it can be calculated and how it can be modified in my .NET application. Okay, so as of now, this is the table which we are going to manipulate using our .NET application. Okay, I'll go to the Visual Studio now. We are going to create a .NET application. I'm going to create a .NET application which will get connected to this particular database. I open an application which I have already created, and it is not having any other materials. It is just having a form, a base form, and I have not added any processing here. It is simply a form opened up. Okay. Now what I am going to do, before I add the forms to the application, I am going to add the data source here. So go to the project and add a new data source. click on the database, click on the data set. It will ask you what is the database you want. I go to the new connection and I want a MySQL database. So if you click change, you will have different data sources. We have already seen ADO.NET can connect to any data source, which can be of your ODBC data source, or it can be SQL, or it can be Microsoft Access, or it can be Oracle database, or it can be any other database. So for the time being, I am going to have only MySQL database. So select the MySQL database, click OK. Now what is the server name it is asking, and I think all of you remember what is a connection string. Whenever you want to establish a database connection, to the connection object you have to specify a connection string. The connection string will have 4 different parameters. What are they? The server name, username, password, and the database name. So I gave the server name as localhost. I have the database server also in my local machine, so I give localhost, and I am going to give the username as root, and the password as by the time it will show you what are the different databases available. I give the server name, I have given the username and password. These are the different databases I have in my system. So I select test DB, and you can just go for testing the connection. Click on test connection. The connection is succeeded. Click OK. Click OK. Now once the connection is established, if you want to see the connection string, you can just say show the connection string. Show the connection string. So it shows what is the server name. So this is the connection string we will be giving in the connection object. Root, password, database name, etc. Okay. Then you can click next and just say finish. So the data source will be added to your project now. So now you are ready to do the application. Now what are the things we need? I want to have 4 different forms. So in this video we will be creating 2 forms, and in the next video we will be creating the rest of the 2 forms. Okay. So I open the toolbox. Add button 1, button 2, button 3. What for I am adding all these 3 buttons? First button, when I click, it must take me to the display form. Second button for insertion form. Third button for search or update. Okay. So let me have a label also. And I am going to change the label title as I changed it to student database. Change the size if you want, fine. The same way for all the 3 buttons also, I am going to change the font size to be bold and 12 so that it looks little larger, and I change the buttons here. So you have button 1, button 3 and button 2. Change this caption as display form. It is the display form, and the second one for insertion. And the third button for search or update. Search or update forms. Let us make it little bigger. Okay, yes. Now what I want, when I click the display form, I want a second form to be open. When I click insert form, it should open a insertion form. When I click this, it should open the third form. So the first thing is I have to add, and yeah, first see, the name of this form is now form 1. If you want to change the name of the form, you can change it to home screen. I can change it to home screen. The text will be form 1, so that also let me change it to home screen. So you can see here the form name has been changed to home screen, and wherever you have form 1, all those things can be changed to home screen. Okay, now I go and add the second form. Go to the add a Windows form. It will ask you what kind of form. Obviously it is a Windows form I am adding. And now you can change the text to display form. Change it to display form, and if you want you can give a space in between, and change the name to, it is form 2 now, change it to display form. Change it to display form. Okay, now in the same way add the third form. Add a form which is again a form, and this one you call it as insert form. Name also you can change to insert form. Change the name also to insert form. Add the next form to update form. Let me call it as update form. I call it as, I have given the title also update form, and the form name also I have changed. Okay, or you can save your application now. So all the forms are now ready. You can see here in the Solution Explorer you have all these 4 forms added. Fine. So I go to the first form design. These are the things. When I double click display form, it will take me to the button click event. So in the button click event, what do you want? I want to create, this is a display button. So I have display form. I create it as D form. I create a new object of display form. Good. So what you can have, you can just show that particular form here. So the first one is done. Okay, the same way I go to the design, double click on the insert form. You have the insert form, call it as insert form object, use the new operator, have the insert form, just show the insert form. So the job is done. Go to the design, double click on here, and the third form is your update form. Call it as U form. use your new operator, update form, and if you want you can show done. Okay, so let us just run the program and see what happens. Here first form opens. When I click display form, it opens the display form. When I click insert form, it opens the insert form. When I click search or update, it opens this particular form. Okay, so here our work is done now. So what we have done, just for 3 user interfaces we have created. Okay, 3 user interfaces we have created. It is all done. Save your application. Now, so when I click display form, it will take me to the second form. In the second form, what I want a grid database grid which will access all the data that is available in my student table. So what do you do? We can use our data set and data adapter. The same way, when I go to form 3, insert form, what I want the insertion form to have all the labels, etc. So that when I click insert button, the data that is on the text boxes will be inserted into the table. So display form we have already seen in our previous application, but even then we will be repeating that. So let us first look into the insertion form now, and display and update form we will be doing in the next video. Okay, so what we are going to do, let me have a label and I am going to use insert I am going to call it as insert record. Okay, so just have it as a title for your form, change the size, etc. Insert a record. So if you want to insert a record, what are the things you want? You need text box 1 for the student name, for the roll number, for mark 1, for mark 2, for mark 3, total and percentage. Great. So this many number of text boxes we want. So obviously I will be in need of labels to find out what are they. So you want label 1 here, which will be name of the student. So let me just have it as name. Then the next label to say roll number. Then next label mark 1. Another label for mark 2. Mark 2. Then I want one more label for mark 3. Another label for total. When you do it, you can explore all the options and you can further improve the user interface, enhance the user interface. You can increase the You can have more appealing interface also. If you want, you can add more fields for your manipulation. Okay, so these are the different labels I have added. It looks good now. Okay, and if you want to increase the size of all these things, just change the font size to 12. Click OK, so that your Mark 3 total and percentage. Great. The same way, if you want to increase the size of these also, you can do that. Increase the size, total and percentage. Now what I'm going to do, see, when I enter name, roll number, mark 1, mark 2, when I enter mark 3, automatically total and percentage must be calculated. I don't want the user to type in what is the total and what is the percentage. So what I do, I make this total text box to be non-editable. How do you make it non-editable? I think you remember in our previous video we have seen. So you will have an enabled, for the select the text box, you have the enabled option. Make the enabled option to false, so it becomes non-editable. The same way for the percentage also, it must appear automatically, so let it be this one. And this mark 1, mark 2, mark 3 must receive only numbers. So go and change the type of the text box. You have, where is it? Data multi-line. You can change the text to be, sorry, these are the marks you have to enter here. Enter the marks here, and by default it will be in the string mode. Whenever you are going to take the string value, automatically the string value must be converted using your convert dot to single or to double, etc. Okay, now what I do, all the 3 marks will be entered here. So when I enter the third mark, automatically total and percentage must be calculated. Okay, then I will have a insert button. I will have a clear button. Again, change the font size to be 12. And let it be insert, and let this be clear button. Okay, now when I click the insert button, all these data must be inserted into my table. Which table? To this particular table. Okay, good. Now when I enter mark 3, what I want the total and percentage to be calculated automatically. So what I do, I go to the text box change event. So you just double click on this text box. It will take you to text box 5 text changed event. It will take you to so whenever you change the text in that particular text box, it will automatically take the value. Okay, now what I do, I am going to set if text box 3 dot text is equal to null, or text box 4 dot text equal to null, it will show you a message box. Sorry. I want a message box to be shown with the message saying enter the marks. Okay, so this message will be shown, this one or this one. So if both are having values, it will come here, and what I have to do, I have to take the values. Okay, convert dot to integer, which you want to convert, text box 3 dot text the same way. You have to do the same for all the three. Mark 2 will be from text box 4, mark 3 from text box 5. Okay, and one more thing what we are going to do here, see, when this value is equal to 0, let us have it as 0, and when in the form load event, I'll go to the form, double click on the form, you will get form load event. So what you can do, in text box 3 dot text equal to text box 4 dot text equal to text box 5 dot text is equal to 0. Let us have it as 0. So when we load the form, automatically all the three text box will have value 0. So that if it is equal to 0, we will ask it to change the data, or your text box 5 is equal to 0, we will ask the user to change the data, otherwise we need not change the data. Let us see how it runs, then you can start modifying the program. Otherwise, if all the three are not equal to 0, what you can do, you can get the value from the text box. And one problem that may arise here, since it is a text box, you may be entering a non-integer value, so you can have a try block here. So when you have problem in the conversion, in the catch block, you can catch the format exception. catch the exception and give a message box here. Just show invalid data. This is enough. It shows one error. Let me see what is expected. Yeah, here it expects a semicolon. And if you want, you can show the even dot message also. Yeah, good. Yes. So what happens here? I am converting all these three values and it is catching the exception. If not, if all these three text boxes are good, I'm going to add the value. I'm going to text box 6 text being changed as how whatever mark is available in M1, M2 and M3 will be added. And remember, these are all integers. So I'm going to convert them to string. Great. Okay. In the same way, in the next text box, which one? Text box 7. In text box 7, what do you do? Dot text. The same I'm going to do. M1 plus M2 plus M3. All the three will be added and divided by 3 to get the percentage. And if you want, you can change it to 3.0 so that it will be in go to string. Great. So the text boxes are now changed. Now let us try running this program. We'll check whether any errors are there in this code. So I just start my code. Click on insert form. Enter the marks because all the three are in. Okay, so let us try changing the values here. When I try changing, automatically it calculates the total and percentage. Okay. So I go to form 3 and it does initialize. When I change this text box 5 value is, yeah, okay, text box 5 value is equal to 0. I am checking here. So automatically when I am storing a value here, let me have it as 0 0 and we'll check running the program. Invalid data because it is taking the value as 0 0, so it shows invalid data. So it must be 0. Yeah. Okay. And if you want, you can avoid having this statement. And then you can have another statement here for checking the value of text box 5. Otherwise, you will have this invalid data message. So you can overcome that by changing this if statement to your a little bit. What you can do, you can change this text box checking one by one, and you can check whether it is equal to 0, and then you can show the message. Otherwise it will show you enter the marks. Okay. Yeah, good. And for the time being, I'm not going to add this condition, so that when I run the application, invalid yeah, okay, yes. When I run the application, it says invalid data. Why it is coming invalid data? Let us check. Invalid data, yeah, text box 5 is having value 0 itself. So let us add, for the time being, let us add this text box 5 dot text equal to 0. Close it. Okay. So if any one of these text boxes are having values, this one, it must show you enter the marks. Okay. Yeah. Then what do I have to do? I have to enter the name, roll number, and these 3 marks, total and percentage, will be automatically calculated. Now when I click the insert button, it must establish a connection to the database. Yeah. So what I want, if I want to establish a database connection, I go to the form. You have to first add the namespace. What namespace you have to add? Using mysql dot data dot mysql client. Sorry, not common. mysql client. This is the namespace you have to add. And what are the 3 objects you want? mysql connection, mysql connection. So let me call it as connection, and you can create new mysql connection. Now when you create new mysql connection, what you have to do, you have to give a connection string. So to understand what is the connection string you want to add, just click on this database. Just click on the database. When you click on the database, you will get the connection string. It's not showing the connection string. So to get the connection string, what you can do, you can again go to adding the new data source, go to database, data set, and if you ask it to show the database connection string, it will show you this connection string. Just copy the connection string, cancel it, go to form 3, click on this, you can add the database connection. Okay, so your database name is given, username, password is given, server name is also given. So connection is created, not created, connection object. Remember, connection object is created. Go for mysql command, create a mysql command, call it as cmd. Then I don't, since this is a non-query object, this the command object will be executing it as a non-query mode. So I don't want a data adapter, so I simply have the command object. Now what I have to do, when I click the insert button, I have to create the SQL query. Now string insert SQL is equal to, and remember I'm going to have it as a verbatim string, and I say insert into, what is the table name? Our table name is student DB. What are the values we are going to give? The values will be, the first value is the name, right? If you want, this is your table structure. First one will be the S name, which is a string. So I need a open quote, then add what you have to add, then I have to add the name. So where do you have name? In text box 1. You have it in text box 1. So you can say text box 1 dot text. Good. So after that, again close the single quote, put a comma. So first value is given. The second one is a roll number. Roll number is an integer. Roll number is an integer. So what I do again, you can have single quote comma plus text box 2 dot text. Then again I am going to have a comma. Then I think you may recollect the code that you have written for your JDBC application here. Text box 3 plus text box 4 dot text plus comma. So you have added the name in single quotes, comma, roll number, comma, mark 1, comma, mark 2, then comma, mark 3. Mark 3 is in text box 5 dot text plus comma, again plus total. Total is in text box 6. Okay. Then again comma, then text box 7 is your percentage. Okay. So once you have given all these things, what you are going to do, plus close the parenthesis. That's it. Then semicolon. So the string has been created. Now to confirm whether it is the correct SQL, you can just have a message box and you can just display so that you can understand whether any data is wrong in your insert query. So once you have created the insert query, what you can do, just open the connection, database connection, open the database connection, and whenever you are going to do the database operation, obviously you must have a try and catch block. Open the connection, then what do you do? Create the command object. How do you create it? Use your new operator, mysql command. mysql command. What are the two parameters? The first one will be the query, second one will be the connection object. It is insert SQL. Then simply say command dot execute non-query. This is not a query. Execute non-query. Once it is done, go to the catch block, catch the common exception. If you can catch the specific exception also. So just for the time being, I am having the common exception here. I can just say some database error. So that's why I end up in the catch block, database error. And if you want to know what is the error, you can just show the message of the exception. Okay, so I think we are done with the. Then once you have completed, go to the finally block, and in the finally block you can close the connection. Close the connection. So we are done with this. Let us run and check whether anything is wrong in our code. Click the insert form. Okay, it will show you enter marks. So let me enter the value, roll number 104 or 103. Then I enter values. Automatically it calculates your total and percentage. Click on insert. You have insert into table name, values, student name, roll number, 3 marks and the percentage. Click OK. So it must be inserted into the table. Okay, let us check the table now. So you have got the third value entered here. I'll show you one more record we can enter. I change the value to 104. $78. Sorry, invalid data. It will ask you, because if you don't enter any value, it will say invalid data. Okay, click on insert. This is the value. It will be inserted. Let us go back to our application. Yeah, the last record is now the newly entered data. Okay, so this again, if you want to just in your once it is executed properly, you can show a message box saying record inserted successfully. Record inserted successfully. Some kind of message, whatever message you want, you can give that. So I run the application again. Okay, there is an error. What is it? Okay, semicolon expected. I run the application now. Click on insert. Enter another value. Enter a roll number. Enter the marks. Got the mark. Insert. This is the value will be inserted. Record inserted successfully. Okay. So you just go and check your MySQL database. You can see here the last record is also inserted. Okay. So this is how we will create an application where you can insert a record into the database table. In our previous video, we have seen how a display form can be created. We have created a data grid view. Then we have used our data set and data adapter here, and it will show you all the records that are available in the database. Okay, the same procedure you can follow here also. So in form 3, we have seen how to insert a record. In the next video, we will be discussing how the search and update form can be created for a student database. Okay, you can further explore on all these things. You can enhance this application, you can change the feel and process or appeal of all these interfaces. You can add whatever uh, fields you want, fields, whatever fields you want for your database, all those things can be changed, and you can make it more and more user friendly by adding different controls on these forms. Okay, so thank you, and you can watch the next video that shows how an search and update form can be created for a student database. Thank you.